The Akitu Festival. Part 1. Akitu, the Babylonian New Year's festival. If you ask me why it was celebrated in Babylon, I will say, it was to honor the creation of our solar system by Apsu, which is our sun, and when the Earth was put in orbit by the 8th planet called the Sky Man. See the Greek Poemander for the story. Many peoples think and have written what they think the Akitu festival was for. They think it was to celebrate Marduk, but it wasn't. So let's put some reality into it. So it was celebrated in the first month of the year, that is in March/April. In the Babylonian calendar, this month was known as Nisanu, and it happened at the spring equinox. Now look at this, since the festival was celebrated on the first days of the Babylonian year, we can call it a New Year's festival. In fact, the ancient Babylonians already called it Ra-Atim, beginning of the year. This celebration was very important to the gods spoken of, and they were Marduk and his firstborn son Nabu, who was the Greek Hermes or the Egyptian god of knowledge Thoth. Thoth tells us in his emerald tablets that his father taught him the elder mysteries. I have no doubt the Enuma Elish was some of that teaching. Marduk was his father. Think, why was this Akitu festival celebrated? Firstly, let's talk about how it was celebrated. It was celebrated in Babylon, and in the temple was the supreme god Marduk, the Esagila, and the house of the New Year, which was situated north of the city. The two gods who were in the center of the festival were Nabu and his father, the supreme god Marduk, who was in the first millennium BCE usually called Bel, Lord, because his real name was considered too holy to be pronounced. At this point, understand that it wasn't celebrated every year because Marduk lost Babylon to some of his enemies several times. The last time he lost it to Nabonidus, who Marduk had handed Babylon over to him because of Nana's convincing Marduk to let him be king of Babylon. Nabonidus caused Marduk to be locked up in Assyria for 21 years as he changed the worship of Marduk to the worship of Nana that was instituted in Ur, the home city of Abraham. This was the cause that Marduk, the god of Israel, sent prophets like Jeremiah, Isaiah, and others, telling that Babylon would be captured. Now at this point let's remember he had told David and Solomon that he would dwell with them only if they would listen to him. And he did dwell there in the temple. At first they said they would listen to him because he had rescued Israel from Egypt and had taken them in the promised land. He had the Israelites kill a lot of people in the land of Canaan to settle the Israelites there. It was there he had promised Abraham he would settle his descendants in the land flowing with milk and honey. Now getting back to our story of Babylon, we go back to the time the supreme god of Babylon, Marduk, lost his temple city Babylon to an evil person named Nabonidus. Well, Marduk, being Ahura Mazda, also the god of Persia, called up a powerful king named Cyrus the Great to go and capture his temple city Babylon. Now don't forget Marduk was the god of Israel, and it was he that had sent Nebuchadnezzar to destroy his temple in Jerusalem and had taken captive many peoples to Babylon, where they stayed in Babylon for about 70 years. Nebuchadnezzar says it was his God that told him to go destroy the temple in Jerusalem, and that was Marduk. So Marduk, the god of Israel, met Cyrus the Great outside the walls of Babylon, and Cyrus took the hand of Marduk and walked him through the gates of Babylon and took him to his temple called the Esagila. There Cyrus sat him down on his throne where he had reigned for many years. Marduk the god of Israel was very old at this point, and it wasn't long after this, Marduk was killed in his temple about 450 BCE. So no doubt, with so many things happening to Marduk and Babylon, the Akitu fest had stopped being celebrated there. But why was the Akitu celebrated in Babylon and in other places to begin with? Well, to find that out, we have to take you to the Babylonian creation story, called the Enuma Elish. The Enuma Elish story has confused people for many years, and all their lives they never figured it out. The Enuma is the real creation story of the creation of our solar system. It starts when the Sun was the only thing in existence in what was to become our solar system. This was before our Sun created planets. The first planet our Sun created was a planet called Tiamat, and it was covered with water and there was life in its oceans. So keep this in mind and you will understand the Enuma Elish. So let's switch gears and read the tablets of the Enuma Elish. We will look at Myths of Babylonia and Assyria, by Donald A. Mackenzie, 1915, at sacred-texts.com. Chapter 7. Creation Legend, Merodach the Dragon Slayer. Not to get confused, note this, Marduk is a planet and also is Tiamat the dragon. So this information is not about the god of Babylon, it's about our solar system. Take note, in the beginning the whole universe was a sea. The universe spoken of there was our solar system. Heaven on high had not been named, nor the earth beneath. Their begetter was Apsu, the father of the primordial deep, and their mother was Tiamat, the spirit of chaos. No plain was yet formed, no marsh could be seen, the gods had no existence, nor had their fates been determined. Then there was a movement in the waters, and the deities issued forth. The first who had being were the god Lachmu and the goddess Lachemu. The gods mentioned are planets. Long ages went past. Then were created the god Anshar and the goddess Kishar. When the days of these deities had increased and extended, they were followed by Anu, god of the sky, whose consort was Anatu, and Ea, most wise and all-powerful, who was without an equal. Now Ea, god of the deep, was also Enki, lord of earth, and his eternal spouse, Damkina, was Gashanki, lady of earth. The son of Ea and Damkina was Bel, Marduk, the Lord, who in time created mankind. Thus were the high gods established in power and in glory. The god Enlil was called Bel in early history. Now Apsu and Tiamat remained amidst confusion in the deeps of chaos. They were troubled because their offspring, the high gods, aspired to control the universe and set it in order. Apsu was still powerful and fierce, and Tiamat snarled and raised tempests, smiting herself. their purpose was to work evil amidst the eternal confusion. This creation account is about the time our solar system was not a universe. The planets had not been put in orbit to be called a unified system. Everything was in confusion. Then steps in our solar system the 8th planet, and it became an organizer by the way it affected everything, putting our solar system in order, and we became a universe. God himself created the 8th planet for a special reason. Can you figure it out? Then Apsu called upon Mummu, his counselor, the son who shared his desires, and said, O Mummu, you who are pleasing to me, let us go forth together to Tiamat and speak with her. Mummu is the spirit force that our God uses to supply stars the power and ability to create planets and moons. It is God that makes matter that is supplied to stars so they can create planets. So the two went forth and prostrate themselves before the Chaos Mother to consult with her as to what should be done to prevent the accomplishment of the purpose of the high gods. Apsu opened his mouth and spake, saying, O Tiamat, you gleaming one, the purpose of the gods troubles me. I cannot rest by day nor can I repose by night. I will thwart them and destroy their purpose. I will bring sorrow and mourning so that we may lie down undisturbed by them. How was Tiamat gleaming? It was her covered waters that made her gleam. Tiamat heard these words and snarled. She raised angry and roaring tempests. In her furious grief she uttered a curse, and then spake to Apsu, saying, What shall we do so that their purpose may be thwarted and we may lie down undisturbed again? Mummu, the counselor, addressing Apsu, made answer, and said, Although the gods are powerful, you can overcome them, although their purpose is strong, you can thwart it. Then you shall have rest by day and peace by night to lie down. The face of Apsu grew bright when he heard these words spoken by Mummu, yet he trembled to think of the purpose of the high gods, to whom he was hostile. With Tiamat he lamented because the gods had changed all things. The plans of the gods filled their hearts with dread. They sorrowed and spake with Mummu, plotting evil. Then Ea, who knows all, drew near. He beheld the evil ones conspiring and muttering together. He uttered a pure incantation and accomplished the downfall of Apsu and Mummu, who were taken captive. King, who shared the desires of Tiamat, spake to her words of counsel, saying, Apsu and Mummu have been overcome and we cannot repose. You shall be their avenger, O tempestuous one. Tiamat heard the words of this bright and evil god, and made answer, saying, On my strength you can trust. So let war be waged. Then were the hosts of chaos and the deep gathered together. By day and by night they plotted against the high gods, raging furiously, making ready for battle, fuming and storming and taking no rest. This ends the first part, so on to the second part.